Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing the best fighter heroes from seasons 1 through 4. So this is for newer players who don't have the Season X heroes. So let's get right into it. If you haven't seen the Season X video, please feel free to view it if you're on Season X or if you're just curious as to those combos. I do talk about a little bit about kind of when to use fighters, why you would use fighters, and what they're good for. To put it briefly, they're basically counters to shooters. Because basically the way Last Shelter works is it's sort of a rock, paper, scissors type of game where fighters counter shooters, shooters counter vehicles, and vehicles counter fighters. So this is one of the reasons why you'd use fighters. Also, a lot of fighter combinations don't really lose that many troops, but they're very valuable in terms of kind of degrading people's durability. So essentially, if you keep winning and you keep your troop count high, they're just gonna have to keep attacking you, and they're gonna end up wasting durability. So to get into it, we actually see that our first lineup is Juggernaut, Tech Priestess, and Venom Walker. So I had explained all three of these heroes in the Season X video, but I'll do it again for those of you who either haven't seen it or don't want to watch it. So Juggernaut is a Season 4 hero. He's decent, he's not the best, he's okay. But he's essentially a defense fighter hero. So his second ability, actually I'll just explain all these abilities first. And then that's it. I won't have to explain them again. So the first skill, you just increase your troop count, pretty basic. Your third skill is always going to be plus resistance, and this number changes depending on whether they're season heroes, regular orange heroes, or specialized orange heroes. For season heroes, generally it's plus 50. Their fourth, same thing, except it's might. And like I said, for season heroes, it's generally plus 50. Their sixth ability always has these first two buffs, so plus 15% to might and plus 15% to resistance. And then they always have this plus 250% bonus to dictator skills. This just gives more troops again. And then the third buff within this skill can change. In this case, it's plus 15 HP, but it can be something like plus 15% damage or vehicle damage or whatever. So yeah, you'll see that change as well. Then the seventh ability is going to always be a buff to the entire formation. So every single squad is going to get it. First row, second row, back row. Whereas for the third and fourth, only the squad with this hero gets those buffs. So this is going to be resistance or might generally for all the season heroes above season 1. So for Juggernaut individually, the 2, the 5, and the 8th skill are always completely different for every hero. Your first copy of a hero, you can unlock skills 1 through 5. Your second copy, you can pick 6, 7, or 8. Third copy, you can pick 6, 7, or 8. And fourth copy, 6, 7, or 8. So essentially you need 4 copies of a season hero to unlock all of the abilities. Yeah. So a second ability, there's a 40% chance to deal 179 damage to 2 random enemy squads within range. What you want to do with damage numbers to get true value is you take the damage, you multiply it by the target, so in this case 2 random enemy squads. So essentially 180 times 2 is 360. So essentially 360 damage is the true damage. Additionally, this applies a debuff to those same 2 enemies, subtracting their might by minus 38%, and this lasts for 2 rounds. So this is pretty decent. It's a high chance with the debuff that lasts 2 turns. The damage is pretty low. Juggernaut, like I said, doesn't really do significant amount of damage, but it's pretty decent. 40% is nice. His fifth ability is Shield Bash. So his squad basically has a 100% chance to counterattack whenever basic attacked, and he deals 120% damage. So this is just every single time he's basic attacked, he's just going to return some damage. Yeah, similar to like a spike ability in some games, or yeah, I guess a counterattack in some games. This is pretty low damage, but it's every single time. Some heroes have like there's a 50% chance for 250 return, stuff like that. So this is just a consistent thing. Keep in mind this is only when basic attacked, so it's not when damage is dealt, but it's only when basic attacked. So like I said before, his 6th ability, the only thing that changes is going to be this 3rd one, and in this case he gets plus 15% HP. I've said it before and I'll say it again, HP is the best defensive stat in the game. It just provides the most value in the damage calculations, just based on how the calculation actually works. So when you see HP, you can imagine that they're usually going to be in the front line, and they're going to be pretty tanky. What HP does is it essentially just, yeah, there's a whole damage calculation. I'm actually not going to explain it in this video. I might do a video later on, kind of explaining the entire calculation and the entire flow, but I won't do it here. So his 8th skill is One Man Legion. So for the first 2 turns, all friendly squads take minus 30% damage. This is essentially just a buff to the whole team, and essentially they get 30% damage reduction. After turn 3, hero squads recover 30% units when dealing damage, and this is for all 3. So again, the true values of these, you take these numbers, you times them by the targets. So in this case, it's a buff of a 90% damage reduction. Very strong. Also, it's 90% recovery every time someone's dealing damage. Sort of. This one's a little harder to do because dealing damage can happen many times throughout the match. But yeah, so Juggernaut's basically just a tanky boy. He doesn't do too much damage, but it's pretty consistent because this is a 100% counterattack, and a decent chance on his 2nd skill. Also, he does recover units, and something that's kind of overlooked is these buffs and debuffs. They're kind of hard to quantify when you're looking at a battle report. So you really kind of have to test using these heroes, yeah, or just take the advice of players who have them, or kind of have every single buff and debuff in mind, because obviously some buffs, not all buffs are equal. So that's Juggernaut. Like I said, he's okay, he's decent. He gets replaced pretty quickly on. I wouldn't kind of seek him over some of the other Season 4 fighters, like Venom Walker, for example. But he's definitely a solid hero, and he'll replace pretty much everybody leading up to him in the front line. So then we see Tech Priestess in the middle. Tech Priestess is absolutely fantastic. She's an amazing hero, very useful even in Season X, and I would definitely strive to get her. So her 2nd ability is Pangolin MK1. For the first 3 turns, 2 friendly squads have 60% bonus damage. Like I said, true value is 120 for 3 turns. This is decent. It's okay. It basically gives you an advantage early on, but it doesn't really do too much. Killing troops doesn't actually decrease the enemy's damage that they deal anymore. So this isn't as good, but it's fine. It's a fine buff. Can't complain. Her 5th ability is Radar Jamming, so this is a very good ability. It's a 50% chance with a 1-turn prep to confuse 2 random enemy squads, and this will last for 2 turns. So a very high rate. It does have a prep, but it lasts for 2 turns, and to confuse 2 random enemies is amazing. Confusion is a great CC. It basically acts like a confusion in Pokemon, where they could attack, their teammates. There's a chance to attack teammates. There's a chance to attack the enemy. So yeah, it just becomes random who they target. This can be super good if you confuse an enemy. So let's say you confuse, I don't know, an enemy's hummingbird, and they end up attacking their own squad and dealing, like, let's say, I don't know, 30,000 damage. Not only are they dealing that 30,000 damage to the enemy squad, they would have dealt it to your squad, but they don't. So it's actually twice as good. So that's one of the reasons why Confusion is fantastic. Also, if an enemy attacks themselves and they get CC'd, then super good. So her 5th ability, really solid. Her 6th ability, sorry for clicking everywhere. Her 6th ability, she also gets plus 15 HP, so she's a pretty tanky hero. She gives resistance to her whole formation. And her 8th ability is Medical Nanobots. So during battle, when all friendly squads receive damage, there's a 50% chance to recover some units. And her recovery rate is 33%. So this skill is very good. It's a low recovery rate compared to other heroes. However, it's every time one of the friendly squads takes damage. So this could be on a damage over time ability, like a curse or poison or a burn. This could be on basic attacks. This could be on combat skills, etc. So heroes who are going to basic attack like 4 times in a turn, every single time there'd be a 50% chance to recover units. And like I had mentioned, damages over time. This can also trigger. So very good. And you'll actually see her treatment numbers can be pretty insane depending on who they're facing up against. So like I said, Tech Priestess, amazing hero. Definitely go for her. Use hero tokens on her if you can. She's solid throughout basically every season. Moving on, we see Venom Walker in the backline, so he's another Season 4 hero. Venom Walker looks pretty cool. He's a ranged fighter. Range generally means they go in the backline because their abilities have a longer effective range. But anyway, his 2nd ability is Desolation. So in turns 1, 3, and 5, all enemy squads enter Cursed, Burning, and Poisoned status. And this will deal 24%, 29%, and 34% on corresponding turns, so 1, 3, and 5. And this will last till the end of battle. Essentially, this just means he's always going to be doing a very consistent damage over time, really no matter what. So it doesn't matter if he's CC'd or anything like that. This is a prep skill, meaning it will happen basically at round 0, so no matter what, guaranteed. And it's just very consistent. It's always the same. So pretty solid. There are some things with this. It doesn't do a ton of damage, and it will trigger Tech Priestess's heal, but it's still a good ability. So his 5th skill is Bitter Medicine. On the beginning of turn 5, 2 random friendly squads will recover units each turn at an 84% recovery rate, and this will last for the entire game. So basically, from turn 5, 6, 7, and 8, 2 friendly squads will just recover units every turn. Pretty good, pretty solid treatment numbers. Unfortunately, it only begins on turn 5, so it's only really useful for half of the battle, but still pretty solid. His treatment numbers are definitely decent. And that's all this does. There's no other buff, there's no debuff, there's no stat increase or anything like that. It's pure treatment. So his 6th ability, he's another plus 15 HP hero. A lot of the fighters are, like I was saying, they're pretty tanky, they recover a lot. And basically their troops don't really die. So you'll generally see this. Also, he's a resistance hero, so you have 3 resistance heroes buffing all of them. So this squad ends up with a lot of resistance. And then his 8th ability is pretty cool. It's Deadly Smog. So it has a 100% chance to activate, and it'll deal 243 damage to one enemy squad. And it will interrupt channeling skills. So this is kind of the main cool thing about this. The channeling skill is an ability that says like 1 turn prep or 2 turn preps. While it's in that prep stage, it's considered a channeling. This ability, if it hits, the enemy that's in that kind of channeling stage, it's just going to interrupt it, and they won't ever use that skill, or that skill won't activate. So this is very good against a hero like, Hummingbird, who has a 2-turn prep skill. She's very susceptible to Deadly Smog. And this happens every single turn. So it's very good. Great ability, and it can definitely counter some heroes and just make the fights pretty interesting. Doesn't do much damage. The damage isn't really important at all. It's nice to have some extra damage when someone isn't channeling a skill, for example. If you hit someone who's not even doing anything, it's only damage, so something to keep in mind. So that's Venom Walker, or that's the first combo. It's given a 9.1. 9.1 isn't that amazing. The fighters don't really get too good until Canoness comes in. Besides Tech Priestess, once Canoness, she's an X hero. If you haven't seen the best fighter APCs video, I have the thumbnail over on the left side of the screen, and if you find that in either my channel or some of the suggested videos, go ahead and take a look. But Canoness really buffs the fighter formations. Generally, the fighters are probably considered the weakest out of the three in the current meta. Vehicles are pretty much the best right now, followed by shooters and then fighters. In my opinion, from the experience that I have. So moving down, we get to some squads that are unranked, but these are put in order of kind of use, or I guess rank, quote unquote. So we'll see Viscount, Tech Priestess, and the Knight, and this is a pretty interesting squad. So this is basically the best squad in Season 3. And obviously, I mean, if you're in Season 4 and you don't get any of the Season 4 heroes, or they're not maxed, this squad's the best one that you have. So Viscount is a defense fighter. He's pretty interesting. So his first ability, Heart of Lion, his squad has a 50% chance to be buffed every single turn, and he will basically get 50% damage reduction, period. Also, there's a 35% chance to counterattack when basic attacked, dealing 190 damage. So it's kind of similar to Juggernaut, however, it's a significantly lower chance. Juggernaut is 100, but Viscount deals more damage, so it kind of evens out. Also, Viscount has this buff, so it's pretty good. This buff is definitely solid. This is 50% damage reduction at a 50% chance, so you can think of it as every other turn. His fifth ability is Curator of Yesterday. The first 3 turns, he reduces the damage dealt by 45% for all squads. So basically just, again, increases damage reduction for everybody. He gets a damage reduction. He gets additional damage reduction, coupled with the fact that everybody's going to be dealing less damage. He also gets damage reduction, so it's, essentially just an addition onto that. And then starting at the 4th turn, he increases combat skill damage by 20%. So combat skill damage is essentially the 2, 5, and 8th abilities. If they get triggered, the calculation is multiplied by combat skill damage. Like I said, if you guys are interested in learning more about the calculations and how damage really works, let me know and I'll do a pretty in-depth video. I'll probably have like Excel sheets up or something. Pretty nerdy shit, but some people are into that stuff, so myself included. So yeah, his 6th ability, again, HP hero, not surprising. He's a fighter. He actually does give might to the formation, which is a change, meaning you kind of will expect him to deal a little bit more damage. And then his 8th ability is Unyielding Will, so he has a 30% chance to deal 203% damage to the enemy squad within range, and he gives a vulnerable status to the squad. The vulnerable status basically just means each time that enemy is hit, they take an extra 20% damage, and this lasts for 1 round. So yeah, pretty decent ability. Fairly low chance, fairly low damage. However, this vulnerable status is kind of cool. They take 20% more damage from everything. So that can be kind of useful. It's not great. This ability is pretty mediocre. But yeah, this attacks everybody, so pretty good. Because again, you multiply this by 3, and then this 20% would also similarly be multiplied by 3. It's only lasts for 1 round though, so it's not like it's super amazing, but hey, it is what it is. So that's Viscount. He actually does some okay damage. He has some buffs, has some debuffs, but overall he's not my favorite hero. Some people seem to have decent luck with him prior to Season X meta, but I do believe Juggernaut is essentially kind of just a better Viscount. He just does the job that fighters are supposed to do a little bit better than Viscount does. And then we get Tech Priestess. Realistically, if you have Tech Priestess, she needs to be in an APC. It doesn't really matter who your other heroes are. If you have her, put her in. Usually she goes in the middle. She can also go in the front in certain circumstances. If you don't have a more front hero like Viscount or Juggernaut, Tech Priestess can fill that role. And then we see the Knight. So she's another Season 2 fighter. She's a ranged fighter. Again, meaning she likely fits in the back row. She does a lot of damage actually, which is kind of interesting for fighters. So her second ability, it's a 40% chance with a 1-turn prep to attack 6 times, and each attack randomly selects an enemy and deals 162% damage every time. So essentially she'll just like attack anybody, it doesn't really matter. And then the next time it's again a 1 out of 3 chance to attack anybody, etc., etc. So you'd actually take this number and multiply it by 6. So it actually comes out to quite good damage. What is that? You know, some quick math. It's almost 1,000 damage. It's like 972 damage. I think if I did my math right, 972 damage is quite a lot. Especially at a decent chance. 40% is pretty good. So yeah, this ability is definitely good. Her fifth ability, it's pretty basic. Onslaught of Blades. The squad with this hero increases 10% damage, and this effect stacks once every turn. So turn 1, 10% extra damage, turn 2, 20, 30, 40, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. Pretty good buff all around. It's nothing substantial. However, it's solid, and it does what she kind of needs, which is just increase of damage. Her sixth ability, kind of along those lines, she just gets an increase in damage, 50% damage. She gets Might, which again kind of indicates she's going to be doing more damage. And then her eighth ability is Wild Charge, so there's a 40% chance to deal 160% damage to 2 random squads within the effective range. Her effective range is 5, meaning she can basically hit every enemy. And she also gives the Curse status, which deals 80% damage every time a combat skill is cast. So this is kind of interesting. 160 damage to 2 squads isn't great, so 320 true damage. The Curse status is okay, 80% every time you cast a combat skill for 2 turns. Theoretically, it could be pretty good damage, but more often than not, you're not going to see too much out of this. Overall, okay ability, it's mediocre. So the Knight's pretty cool. She kind of just, is sort of like an attack heavy hero. I think this combo does fairly well against fighters, because while the other fighters might be recovering significantly more, this formation could get some more kills, and you could win in that sense. So that's the best for Season 3. Essentially, if you have Juggernaut, you would just replace him with Viscount, and similarly, if you had Venom Walker, you would replace the Knight with Venom Walker. So that's kind of how this table goes. Moving down even further, we see basically the same lineup, except no Tech Priestess, so this is the best lineup for Season 2. We see the Courageous. So, the Courageous is okay. I mean, he's a support fighter. He's a Season 1 hero, so don't expect great things out of him. His second ability, 60% chance to deal 334 damage to one enemy. Pretty low damage, okay percent chance, all around just an okay skill. However, these season heroes give significantly more buffs than normal orange heroes, which is definitely good. So generally, season 1 is better than regular orange. His fifth ability, Warpath, there's a 40% chance to deal 305 damage to a random enemy squad within range. All friendly units receive a buff of 50% bonus fighter to shooter countering bonus, and this will last for 2 turns. So I mentioned this in the other fighter video, but this bonus isn't that good. The problem is fighters already counter shooters, so you don't really need a buff to do that even better. Generally in like seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, if you have a good fighter squad, you're going to beat a good shooter squad, basically guaranteed. So this bonus isn't amazing. This bonus is okay if, let's say, you're kind of significantly weaker than the enemy. Let's say you have only season 1 heroes and they have like season 4s or something. Then this comes into play, but otherwise it's not really important. His sixth ability is plus combat speed, plus 20 combat speed, and you'll also notice he gets plus 20 might and resistance. So even more than a Season X hero, which is just kind of weird. Combat speed basically determines who attacks first, or which squads attack first. Whoever has the highest combat speed is going to go first, the second highest goes second, blah, 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 blah. So it's pretty cool. It just means he's basically going to attack first. He gives might, so plus 40 might to the entire formation. And then his eighth ability is Desert Storm. So when the hero is in a formation with 3 squads of fighters, starting at the 5th turn, 2 random squads will increase 60% combat skill damage for 4 turns. So pretty good. So for turns 5, 6, 7, and 8, 2 squads will have plus 60% combat skill damage. So the true value being plus 120 for 4 turns. So yeah, Courageous. He's pretty okay. He's basically exactly like Falcon for vehicles, just for fighters. And yeah, he's decent. And obviously you just have Viscount and Knight. They're the best Season 2 fighters. Moving down one further, we see the Light of the Past. So Light of the Past he's very rare to unlock, actually. He's a very rare hero to get. For whatever reason, he's not like that amazing, so it's a little strange. But anyway, his second ability, Steel. It's a 100% chance to deal 125 damage to a random squad, and then he absorbs 15% damage attributes and adds it to 1 random squad. So this is every single turn. This absorb, it basically means he subtracts it from the enemy and adds it onto a teammate. So kind of the true value of this is a 15% debuff, 15% buff, so 30% transaction. And this is every turn, so this is okay, nothing great. This damage is very low. This also isn't really that much, it's pretty negligible, but whatever. It's nothing to scoff at, better than nothing. So his fifth ability, Armadillo Shield, there's a 30% chance to deal 342% damage to a random squad, and he reduces the damage taken from shooters by 14% for 2 turns. So like I said, it's not that important to kind of counter shooters again, because you're always pretty much going to beat them at this stage in the game. And at a 30% chance, it's really not important. The 342 damage isn't even that great, so yeah. His sixth ability, plus HP, that's kind of why he's kind of in the front line. Basically, if you see this, you just automatically assume, okay, front line. But yeah. And then his seventh ability, he gives plus might to every formation. And then basically exactly like the Courageous, when the hero is in a formation with 3 squads of fighters, starting at the 1st turn, 2 random squads will increase 60% combat skill damage for 4 turns. So meaning turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, 2 squads will have this 60%. So it's kind of cool if you couple him with Courageous. It basically means every single turn, 2 squads are going to have 60% increased combat skill damage. So that's Light of the Past. He's okay. He's not that good in my opinion, but it is what it is. Then we just have the Courageous, who I had already explained. And then we see the Dragon's Rage, who I think is the best fighter Season 1 hero. Yeah, so the Dragon Range, he's a ranged hero, meaning backline. Second ability, 45% chance to deal 505 damage. This is pretty good for a Season 1 hero, actually. Pretty solid damage. Yeah, I don't know why I clicked that, but his 5th ability is Dragon's Might. There's a 30% chance to, again, deal pretty good damage, 503, and he suppresses them, which is huge. So suppression is basically like a petrify in other games. They can't use basic attacks, and they can't use combat skills. So suppression's a very good CC. Good damage. There's no prep, pretty low chance, but this is still a good ability for Season 1. His 6th ability, plus 15% damage. And then his 7th ability is different. So there are 3 Season 1 heroes who have inactive on their 7th ability, and he's there's one for shooters, one for vehicles, and one for fighters. And the Dragon's Range is the one for fighters. So essentially it's an active skill. You can use it, and then after using, within 20 minutes, you get a plus 100 marching speed, plus 100 fighter might. And this will last again for 20 minutes. So pretty cool, in my opinion. It is a 15-hour cooldown, and when it's not activated, it has a 30% effect, so 30 plus 30% might, and no marching speed. But yeah, overall, I think it's pretty cool. You can kind of use this if you're in the kill event. Let's say there's a pretty nice base that you're eyeing. You can just pop this, and then for 20 minutes, this squad's going to be significantly faster and have significantly more might. So it's pretty cool. Or you can use this in Doomsday to similar effects. If someone's garrisoning a tile, you pop this, you rush it in Doomsday. Or if you're in a tile battle and you need to get a tile before the enemy, you can just use this for marching speed. So I actually use this hero in even Season X. Basically just for this marching speed. So yeah, pretty cool. Not this hero, but War Boss, who's the vehicles one. So yeah. And then his 8th ability is Dragon's Rage. So 60% chance with a 1-turn prep to deal 247 to 3 enemy squads. So again, the true damage would be 247 times 3. So basically 750% damage. That's a lot for a Season 1 hero. At a high percent chance, 60%. Does have 1-turn prep, but still, like I said, Dragon's Rage, in my opinion, best Season 1 hero. So that's just my opinion. But yeah. So this hero, this formation's the best Season 1 formation. It's pretty good, actually. Very strong. You get plus 60% combat damage to 2 squads the entire game. And then Dragon's Rage is going to be doing, honestly, pretty good damage. So yeah, it's a nice squad. Moving one further, we just basically, if you don't have the Courageous, you can plug in an orange hero. In this case, they have Arsenal. Doesn't have to be Arsenal. Could be for the Forsaken one. Could be Reaper. Could be even Shoot a Man. Doesn't matter too much. But yeah, so that's it for fighters. Fighters are pretty cool. I like using them, especially to get past shooter walls. Essentially what happens is vehicles attack very, very often, especially in Season X. So people usually will put shooters kind of as their first line of defense. And you can predict that and basically send a fighter squad first to knock out all their shooters, and then send in your vehicles or whatever you want from there. One of the downsides with that, with some of these fighter squads, is in definitely the later stages, so like Season 4, for example, they're basically just going to keep recovering all their units, so it's not like you're going to be wiping out the first squad, the first line of defense, and giving access to your vehicles, but you can get through by sending these fighter squads. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, this is for newer players not experienced with Season X yet. If you are in Season X, or you're just interested kind of in the future and what the future holds, definitely check out that video. Otherwise, stay safe, have fun, and see you guys soon. Alrighty, take care. Bye-bye.